Joining us now is Congressman Jamie Raskin, Democrat of Maryland. He sits on the Rules Committee, which has been looking at possible changes to the voting procedures during the pandemic. Congressman, it's great to see you. Thanks for taking time tonight. I want to start just by asking you how you are, how you're doing, how's your family doing?
I'm hanging tough, Rachel. I've been working hard to get a lot of our people out of different countries abroad, whether it's Morocco or Uruguay or Peru. People are still stuck all over the world, so we're trying to get them back, and we're trying to help the hospitals get the personal protective equipment they need for the nurses and for the healthcare providers. And we're trying to work on this legislation at the same time, and we're trying to do it all from our living rooms and our dining rooms. And I should say, going on the Rachel Maddow show gave me the occasion to shave for the first time in 5 days. So that was good.
Well, look, you haven't forgotten how to do it. You look fantastic, Congressman. Well done. Let me ask you, in terms of the content of this bill tomorrow, seeing it pass the Senate 96-0 gave me two feelings. Number one, wow, unity and unanimity on something like this and a crisis like this is good for the country, good for the country to see that all partisan divides have been set aside. Also, though, there's the mostly elderly Senate all getting together, 96 of them all in the same place. That doesn't seem wise. I know that you and your colleagues in the House are confronting some of those same concerns just about the logistics of voting tomorrow.
Well, yeah, and everybody's in a different position because everybody's in a different place in the country and people's families are in different places and so on. But everybody is committed to getting the work of the country done. And we see what the healthcare providers have been doing and what the first responders have been doing. So we understand that we've got an obligation to conduct the legislative business of the country, but we do want to do it in a responsible way. So because the bill was passed unanimously in the Senate, we're hoping that we can get unanimous consent to pass it in the House. And the way we actually work, Rachel, is when we start off a session, that's when we have the first quorum call. And we don't have a quorum call really till the end of the session. What we do is we operate by unanimous consent. Now, somebody could try to block unanimous consent and demand a quorum call, which would be a very heavy thing to do in this environment, given that we have sick colleagues, we have people who are self-quarantined. Really, everybody's on a continuum of quarantine and social distancing. And the bill is going to pass overwhelmingly, and it's not because everybody loves every part of it. There are parts of this bill that I really love, and there are parts of it that I'm not fond of at all. But it is a compromise, and if we felt that we could kind of go behind the back of the Senate Republicans and pass something, and then they're just giving in, then we would have passed the universal criminal background check on gun purchases more than a year ago, because that's when we sent it to them, or we would have passed the $15 minimum wage. So we understand that we've got to deal with them, they've got to deal with us. And so we've got very muscular, strong provisions in here on unemployment insurance, for example, hundreds of billions of dollars that we're putting into it. We're going to basically make everybody whole on unemployment insurance by adding $600 a week to what the states are currently putting in. So people are going to be getting essentially 100% of their salary up until the point of that their benefits would end in their state. And then we're going to extend it another 13 weeks. Pay the people what they would have gotten from the state. So that's a really robust protection for workers in a dangerous moment for millions of people across the country. The Republicans didn't like it. They tried to slice it and dice it in a whole bunch of different ways. We didn't, they want this $500 billion aid fund. Some people call it a slush fund that the Treasury Secretary will have to hand out to different businesses. We were able to attach restrictions to that. For example, money cannot go to executive bonuses during that time. Money cannot be spent on buybacks of stock and corporate dividends during the period of the loan extended to businesses. So we were able to improve it somewhat. We also, the Democrats were able to get a provision in there saying that money could not be given to the president's businesses owned by the president or businesses owned by members of Congress. So we were able to legislate around the edges. Still, a lot of people feel like that's a huge amount of money, $500 billion to give to the Department of Treasury to distribute as they see fit to businesses in the country. So we don't love that part of it, but we're willing to go along with it. We put in an inspector general in the Treasury Department to oversee it, as well as a congressionally appointed oversight panel. We're going to do what we can to make sure that there are democratic values and constraints put in on it. So there's a lot of stuff that we've done that's great. Hundreds of billions of dollars to the hospitals and healthcare providers to get the personal protective equipment into the hands of the people who need it. That's terrific housing assistance to people who'd be evicted from their homes. So there are things we can be really proud of in here. And what can I say, Rachel? It's a compromise, and we need to pass it for the good of the country because our people are hurting, and it's a desperate circumstance for tens of millions of people across the country.
Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland. It's going to be fascinating to watch tomorrow, logistically among everything else. Thank you for helping us understand what's in the bill. Thanks for being with us tonight, sir.
And thanks for having me, Rachel. Hang tough.